Ja, herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Ausgabe SI Talk und heute habe ich ein sehr spannendes Interview. Vielleicht können Sie sich erinnern, vor 6 Monaten habe ich ein Interview gehabt mit Ideanomics und die Aktie ist danach abgegangen wie eine Rakete. Sie werden es nachher im Chart sehen, von 40 Cent auf 4 Dollar, also das war ein Wahnsinn. Ja, und heute habe ich Tony Sklar bei mir, er ist CFP, also Senior Vice President Communication von Ideanomics. Und er wird uns jetzt einmal erzählen, was sich Neues getan hat. Tony, thank you to have time. I said in my introduction that we do an interview 6 months ago. Not we are, we do it. I do it with Alf.
Alf Poor. Alf
For,
Poor.
for 6 months, and it was unbelievable time. We do it where the share price was 35 cents and so on, and then the share price going up like crazy, up to $4 and so on, and this was really like your share price looks like a roller coaster. So when you are on the way up, it's always nice, but when you're going down, it's not. So, but it's the nature of the roller coaster.
We definitely say that that stocks take the staircase up, but they take the express elevator down.
Yeah, but you also was express up, I must say. That's
Sure, definitely jetted up. Here in the United States and in much of the world, a lot of young companies are experiencing these wild swings as different millennial money comes in and out of the market. We call it fast money. And it's really quite exciting. And when a certain sector, sort of gets ballooned, the EV sector, if you will, has gotten a lot of attention. And so we're seeing these sort of a little bit of some volatility in some of the stock prices.
yeah, and your stock is a perfect example for volatility. Do you think really that some I would say the Robinhoods of this world are also involved in your stock and that they buy
Oh
the
my
stock up?
goodness. Absolutely. We've seen a tremendous growth in our shareholder base. Last year at this time, we might have had, 9 or 10,000 shareholders. Currently, we have over 140,000 shareholders.
Wow.
140,000 shareholders. Absolutely. It's really quite impressive. And, these are sort of different times. And when a company like ours, who's young, who is sort of starting to hit their stride, and you gain that type of following, you have a responsibility to your shareholders and your viewers and to take those eyeballs and show them what you're doing more granular and give them further information because all of a sudden there's quite a bit of attention.
Wow, wow, wow. We also saw a nice spike in November. In the beginning of the November, you was under $1, and then you're going up over three. So it's unbelievable, and now you're coming back a little bit. But we talked coming back to your own original business. The last interview was in May, so in the beginning of May. So what's happened since May? You do a lot.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. So
Oh my goodness, what's happened since May? Just to give your viewers a few highlights. One, we paid down some debt and cleaned off the cap table. We put some capitalization, some cash onto the balance sheet so that we can really move the business forward. We are starting to make some accretive acquisitions in around the globe, but in the United States, we purchased 24% of a electric tractor company. Very exciting. On the FinTech side of the house, we picked up a company. We signed a definitive agreement with a company called Timios. They are in the title and transfer and insurance business here in the United States. They have top line revenue so far of over $80 million this year. And that's great for our shareholders. It's very exciting times for us to be able to build out great shareholder value on both sides of our business. Our FinTech business, which continues to disrupt, and of course our EV business, which is very exciting. And that EV business, it is really that whole ecosystem is in its infancy and it's really just starting to hit its stride. And again, for your viewers, we're not really so much in the passenger side of the electric vehicle industry, the Neos and the Teslas. Those are considered downstream partners for us. We're really on the commercial side. We enable that commercial EV development, and we've continued to make our model quite robust. We have what we call the S to F to C model, the sales to financing to charging. Those are the three key component areas that commercial vehicle electrification need to really follow. We can procure you the best vehicle at the best price, the best financing terms, and then get you that charging that you need on that regular basis. And we're going to take a slice the whole way along. Very small, but when you're doing it in volume, that type of service is what's going to enable the commercial EV ecosystem.
Mm-hmm. So you change the business itself, or the company itself, really dramatically.
No, it's not changed.
But
you're growing.
Yeah, you add a lot of things together, so it's now a total different company to 1 year ago, I would say.
I don't want to say that much, because when Ideanomics really came into the iteration of its business model in fintech, it continues to be very robust. It's actually how we got into the EVs market. We were bidding on a contract using some fintech solutions, some secure database or blockchain type solutions that would allow certain KPIs of an electric vehicle. In this instance, it was a bus, the VIN number, the GPS locator, a few other different pieces of key points of interest that would attach to the bond indenture, the ABS, that asset-backed security. And then wherever that bond would trade, you'd be able to see those assets. And that's how we got into the electric vehicle business. And now, of course, a few years later, it's quite booming. And we're really finding that our business model, the sales to financing to charging, lends itself very, very well to the commercialization in EV, but more importantly, continues to leverage our fintech solutions.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But what we can, as a shareholder, expect from your company the next 6 months? So the past development we know, but for us is more important what's happened in the future.
Absolutely, Joe. It's very, very important. As this industry grows, there's a lot of excitement and some new companies that are coming to the market in commercializing electric vehicles. And we are having some very exciting times now for 2021. One, we're seeing more commercial vehicles come to market, which allows us to procure more vehicles for our customers. Two, we're seeing a lot more financing pools come into the market. So green bond funds and ESG type investing, that's going to allow further financing for commercial EVs. When you're a commercial company, you're not buying a single car or a single truck. You're buying multiple. 30, 40, 100, 400, 1,000, 10,000. And to purchase those amount of vehicles, you have to have a services platform to be able to do that. Unless you're going to write a check for a few $1 billion in vehicles, which generally doesn't happen, you're going to need that financing structure. And then you're going to need to make sure that you've got that charging in place. And Ideanomics has procurement in each one of those areas. The sales, finding you the best vehicles, so increasing our OEM partners globally, to getting you that best financial rate, so increasing the amount of funds that we're working with locally in the customer's area or globally if it need be, and then the charging. Bringing in more charging partners and being able to get that last charging to you, whether it's in solar or whether it's in direct energy through multiple different partners. We need to be able to get you that energy so that you can get your vehicles on the road. We're very interested in making sure that you're always buying more charging.
Mm. That's interesting. But can you say, when we break it down to one car or one bus or something, what you in general have, or what is your income from one bus? So that break down to percentage or something.
Excellent question. So really, it's a little bit more in category driven as opposed to just a single vehicle. So we've got 4 different categories that we deal in for the commercialization of electric vehicles. One, ride hailing and taxi services. Right? It's really very first entrance to market, and we're seeing, because there are a lot of passenger vehicles, it lends itself well to that gig economy. And as more and more ride hailing services come into the ecosystem, we're going to see more electric vehicle fleets come online. But we have a lower percentage as it pertains to those vehicles. But then the next category, the small last mile vehicles, those last mile trucks and light duty vehicles that you see delivering packages all around your area, they don't go very far, really. Those trucks maybe go 100, maybe 50, 70 miles in a day, around and around, delivering packages and back to the depot. We make a much better margin in those products, and we're seeing a lot more volume start to come into our order pipeline. And then, of course, the heavier equipment, the mining vehicles and the tractors, we have a much bigger percentage in there. And so we can see, some profit margins that will even push almost that 20% level. And of course, it's very deal dependent. And then, of course, what you were just mentioning, the last category for us, buses. Buses are a really great category. We make much more money in the buses, but they're a little bit more expensive. So if a tour operator or another bus company is coming in to purchase, a particular fleet, they need the range of services. They got to procure that bus. They've got to get that paper, that financing structure to put into place. And then they're going to need that charging solution. And we're going to take a slice of that pie the whole way along. And if you think about that recurring revenue in that last bucket, which is the charging, we don't have to take a large percentage to make that recurring revenue. We just need a small slice of that pie, much like the payments arena. If Visa is taking 0.0001% every time a payment solution goes to market, then they're making a lot of money. Very similar for us. Our end result is to make sure that we're in front of that charging solution and taking a bit of that pie, so that we can continue to give you that charging solution at the best rate for you.
Okay, interesting. Okay, coming to these two last acquisition. First, this Traktor business. What is your expectation?
Let's talk about tractors for a moment, because quite a lot of excitement when we announced this particular acquisition, this investment. And if you think about the electric vehicle market as a whole, there is something that's called homologation. Homologation is when you bring a vehicle from one country to the other, and it needs to be roadworthy. And that process, it's a little bit different in Europe. They've got some standards. In America, here in North America, we've got some different standards. In Asia, they've got a few different standards. So as we're bringing, electric vehicles from where we do a lot of operation, where a lot of the OEM partners are in Asia, and we bring them over to America or into Europe, there's some homologation process that has to happen because they're roadworthy. Tractors are a little bit of a different story. They're smaller. They're in a closed-end ecosystem for the most part. Small hobby farms or wineries or equestrian centers, those types of businesses lend themselves very well to the 4 different tractors that Solectrac offers. And they offer, lower end tractors in the $20,000 range, all up into sort of some higher, more powerful tractors up towards the $50,000 range. Those particular 4 tractors, we're just getting those into market. That market is a $75 billion market globally. And here in North America, we are starting to make some traction in there. If you think about the amount of pieces of property, even if it's a personal or if it's a hobby farm or if it's a winery that already has the capital, the money that it requires to be able to purchase that, because they're very green focused, a lot of wineries. They've already maybe got solar powers and panels in different areas of their business. So the charging is generally already on site. And if it's not, we have a partner, a solution for that. So the tractor market is very exciting. We expect that to break out in 2021. And I think that your viewers will start to see a lot more ads for electric tractors. It's a great product. It delivers immediately. We've got great order flow into there, and it starts to move the needle in the green markets.
That's a smart move. But it was 24%, I think.
Correct. It was 24%. Yeah, absolutely. And that allows us to consolidate differently on our balance sheet. We had made 2 different investments to be able to get to that position, and that's better for our shareholders. And so it's on our balance sheet at a thicker level.
One question to the second acquisition, to the FinTech business. So
yes,
that's focused on US market. Or is it right?
It is currently, no, you're absolutely correct. Currently, it's in the US market. So the top line revenue there, we're expecting some pretty good numbers here by the end of the year. I mean, so far to date, they're over $80 million in top line revenue. So that's fantastic. And they're kicking off free cash flows. So that gives a positive EPS back to our shareholders for that particular unit. And that's going to give that bolsters again our balance sheet, but more importantly, that business is ripe for disruption. And if you think about it, your viewers who have bought and sold particular pieces of property, that title transfer has a lot of data in it. It allows us to understand where different demographic shifts are happening in different urban and rural areas so that we can start to connect in more smart city technologies. And it gives us the amount of data that will allow us to not only sell different energy solutions to that end user, but bring down that cost of that overall industry, because some of those title transfers can be quite expensive. So you get visibility into that particular process. That price has started to come down. We're scaling that up, and we're going to start to add in more fintech solutions to continue to that disruption. And Timios is a middle market player, so that there's comparables in our industry. Stewart Title Services, STC, that trades on New York Stock Exchange, is a great example of what a more mature title business company will look like. And that's where we're headed. We're headed to be able to scale up to that particular level, and more importantly, bring some technology solutions, some fintech solutions to market to help really scale it and bring down those costs for the end user.
Sounds great. What we can expect 21 revenue size?
21.
Can you say something, or what this mean for the bottom line? What we can expect?
I mean, sure. Listen, as a public company, it's always really difficult to, talk about future revenues, especially as it pertains to what we've just experienced in 2020, a pandemic where, there was some lumpiness in how businesses were transacting. So we're very excited for 2021. We've obviously brought on some new businesses. So those top lines are going to continue to grow, and that's great for shareholders. And of course, our bottom line will continue to grow with those as well. So we're expecting some very good upward trajectory. I don't want to get in too much to what percentages are going to look like or how those performers are going to work out. We're very excited to start to speak more to the analyst community to unpack what those performance statements will look like, so that they can show the public where we're headed to in the end of 2021 or 2022 or even 2023, as we start to get into more of those robust top line revenues. And then I think that we're going to see quite a bit of growth in the commercial electric vehicle sector, which bodes well for our business model, the S to F to C model. We're going to see more of those contracts come to market. And your viewers need to remember that the commercial EV market is lumpy at best right now because it's quite new. We're seeing quite a bit of inflow in excitement and product in the passenger vehicle, and we think that that's going to translate through to more commercial vehicles. So we're going to start to see more order pipeline get onto our books, and then we'll start to see better fulfillment coming into process as more OEMs bring in more either specialty vehicles or different types of vehicles that will help that commercial EV sector grow to the extent that they need to. Oh, and one more thing, more green funds, more ESG oriented investing by top tier banks, which will open up the liquidity pools and allow better financing terms for the commercial vehicle operators.
One of my last questions, how the shareholder structure looks like now. Do you say before that you make put some cash on your balance sheet? So how the share structure looks like now?
Sure. So absolutely, we've done a little bit of some financing where we didn't do it down there when it was sub $1. We really kept it for over that top so that we weren't getting too much dilution in there. But we've got some great cash on the balance sheet now, and that's going to help bolster not only our M&A activity, but kicking it down to the operations to grow that business. So the shareholder structure is very retail focused right now, and in 2021, I think we're going to see a lot more institutional players come into that market. That's our hope for sure, as we continue to get out there and beat our drum and get in front of those institutions. So, we've got a share structure that is very widely held in the retail market. But as I was telling you earlier, we have over 140,000 shareholders, so it's quite diverse. And that is really great. And as we bring on more institutional players, we think that those will get into stronger hands. So it's kind of exciting for the retail shareholder at this point, because for the most part, a lot of the SPACs that we see coming to market, or more not necessarily mature companies, but a company that is in the single business iteration for the first time going public, they've got much smaller floats, so that they have more volatile stock prices. And, they might seem like it's a higher stock price, but their market caps can be a little bit lower. We've got a lower stock price, but we've got a lot more stock out. And so our market cap is comparable, and it allows our retail investors to get in at an earlier rate. So when companies like SelectTrack, our EV tractor investment, come to market, we're allowing that participation. We're allowing that retail shareholder to participate in owning a bit of something that normally wouldn't have been public for a while. And once it did get to that particular, sometimes that share price is too high. It's unattainable for the junior retail shareholder. So we're excited to grow our company with our retail shareholder base, who really deserve to benefit from that upward movement in the stock price.
Last question. What are the 3 major news what we can expect in the next 6 months?
Sure, that's a great way to land. One, we're going to see more robustness in our sales to financing to charging business models. So whether it's an accretive acquisition that falls into one of those buckets, or if it's order pipeline as we continue to bring on new customers globally with our different products. So that's number one. Number two, we're going to see some growth in our ownership. A growth in our subsidiary Tree Electric, and that is our OEM that we own in Malaysia. They make 2-, 3-, and 4-wheeled battery electric powered vehicles. So if you think about mopeds or that e-bike for municipalities, whether that's in police departments or whether it's ride sharing with the likes of Revel, and then the 3- and 4-wheeler market. So whether it's a tuk-tuk, or whether it's your local dry cleaner or butcher who has that 3-wheel little last mile vehicle as they go around to particular restaurants and things that follow. So we're going to see some more robustness in that pipeline as we build out the KD facility on the 250-acre piece of land that we own that's on the balance sheet in Tree Electric. People can see that in our filings. So that's 2. And then 3, we're going to see some more M&A and accretive acquisitions globally as it pertains to the sales to financing to charging mechanisms business model. These are where we're going to see positive growth and robustness of pipeline, and not neglecting anything on the Ideanomics capital side of the house, our FinTech solutions, which sort of really drive into the scalability of what the battery electric vehicle market is.
Tony, thank you for the update. It was really a great one. And it's so many news that I must summarize now in German. Hopefully I don't forget something. Es hat sich viel getan seit den letzten 6 Monaten. Die Aktie war wie ein Achterbahn rauf und runter. Was spannend war, er hat gesagt, sie haben jetzt 140.000 Aktionäre. Er sieht das bei den Filings und so weiter. Also es sind da extrem viele Leute auch neu reingekommen. Es ist sehr viel junges Geld im Markt. Wir haben ja schon mehrmals darüber gesprochen. Das ist da reingekommen. Was haben sie businessmäßig gemacht? Sie haben 24% eines Elektro-Traktorenherstellers gekauft. Ganz spannend. Und sie haben wie kann man das? Eigentlich ist es bei uns mehr ein Notarbusiness. Das heißt, wenn Sie einen Titeltransfer machen, das heißt, wenn Sie jetzt ein Grundstück kaufen, dann wird ja quasi übers Grundbuch das neu eingetragen und das ist ein Titeltransfer. Das wird dort großteils elektronisch gemacht. Sie haben diese Firma übernommen, ich glaube, soweit ich mich erinnern kann. What was the revenue from this title transfer company? What you
obviously we want your viewers to look at our filings, so I'm not speaking out of turn, but we're definitely pushing over 80 million in top line revenue.
80. Oder
80, yes,
80.
yes. As of the end of October, I believe it was. I think it was well over 55 million, and so there still was a number of months to push through there, and so going to be quite north of that.
Okay, perfekt. Also Ende Oktober war es bei 55 Millionen, jahresmäßig kommen es auf 80 Millionen. Ich meine, das ist schon ein richtiger Brocken, also das ist schon nichts mehr so für kleine Dinge. Und das ist eigentlich eine disruptive Area, wo quasi das wirklich aufgearbeitet wird durch neue Technologien, weil das nur sehr verkrustetes altes System ist. Ich meine, das kennen wir bei uns ja auch, das ist ja so. So, und dann haben sie natürlich auch noch das Business, das sie normal groß geworden sind. Das heißt, sie haben für ganze Fleet Management, alles was elektronisches Vehikel ist, für größere Speditionen, Taxis, für Busunternehmen organisieren sie den Kauf, die Finanzierung und die Abwicklung dieser Fleets, was sie jetzt haben, ob das jetzt Taxis sind oder Busse oder eben die letzte Meile, dass die dementsprechend auch dann also abgewickelt wird über das ganze System. Und da verdienen sie natürlich nur immer kleine Margen, aber er sagt halt so schön, das ist wie bei einer Kreditkartengesellschaft. Die verdient auch nur wenig, aber dort natürlich dafür regelmäßig und lieber regelmäßig ein bisschen was verdienen. Auch beim Stromtanken verdienen sie eine Kleinigkeit immer dran und das ist halt einfach dort, wo es wirklich spannend ist. Also in Summe muss man ehrlich sagen, die Company ist irrsinnig breit aufgestellt. Ich muss mir das wirklich nur mit den Details anschauen. Es ist unglaublich, was die alles gemacht haben und er hat gesagt, was können wir in den nächsten 6 Monate erwarten? Was sind die größten 3 News? Dann ist es eindeutig, dass das Business breiter wird, es wird robuster wird, wir sehen mehr Aufträge, die reinkommen. Das ist das, was wir eigentlich erwarten können. Auch zum Beispiel, sie haben eine Beteiligung an einem kleinen Elektrohersteller, der vor allem so 3- und 4-rädrige machen, zum Beispiel ein Tuk-Tuk oder sowas, wo sie dementsprechend die letzte Meile auch beliefern können oder Polizeistationen und so weiter, die kleine Fahrzeuge haben, um schnell rundum kommen, das produzieren sie, aber da werden wir auch noch einiges an Newsflow sehen und natürlich auch weitere Akquisitionen. Sie sind nach wie vor dran, dass sie weitere Akquisitionen machen. Spannendes Update, also die Aktie geht ja ab wie eine Rakete teilweise und er will auch institutionelle Investoren mehr gewinnen. Sie haben jetzt sehr viele Retail-Investoren, sie wollen mehr institutionelle Investoren und bin gespannt, was da jetzt dementsprechend weitergeht. Also spannende Story, schaut euch die Aktie an. Ideanomics, Sklar hat bei uns jetzt ein Update darüber gegeben und hoffentlich können wir in 3 bis 4 Monaten wieder ein Interview machen und dann schauen wir, was da rausgekommen ist. Tony, thank you for your time. It was really a great update.
Guten Tag. Thank you very much.
Thank you.